In 2009, at an AAI conference, Jerry Coyne made several claims that I'm going to address today. One of the claims that he made was that creationists and intelligent design proponents like the Discovery Institute teach that species were all created at one point and have never changed since. This is a straw man argument, though. Neither young Earth creationists nor the intelligent design movement advocates, like the Discovery Institute, which Jerry Coyne mentioned by name, ever teach that species don't change. This is simply not the case. What Jerry Coyne did was he put up a straw man argument. He made a claim that he said, well, the other side teaches this, but the other side doesn't teach that. He just set up an easy claim to knock down that's supposedly advocated by the other side, even though the other side doesn't advocate this. He then went on to give examples of how species have changed over time, and one of the examples he used was diatoms. And this is a quick sketch of one of the graphs that he put up there. This is a representation, a quick sketch, of the graph that Jerry Coyne showed in his AAI conference. In this graph, we're seeing that diatoms have changed in size and shape over time. Now, all the debates about the geologic column aside, creationists and intelligent design advocates both agree with the evolutionists that things change over time. Now, Jerry Coyne, like I said, he made the claim that creationists and intelligent design proponents teach that species do not change over time, which is simply a false straw man argument. Jerry Coyne he was either mistaken or he was lying. And I hate to use the L word there, but he knows about these videos that I've been making, and I'm really starting to lean towards the idea that he was lying. But as you can see, diatoms changed in size and shape over time, and at one point they even branched, and they became two separate lines of diatoms. Now, whether or not they were truly a separate species or not, I haven't looked into this particular instance very in-depth. However, the fact that species change over time, the fact that we have wolves that have gradually become poodles over the years, does not disprove what either the creationists or the intelligent design advocates say. This is simply not a problem for creationists or intelligent design proponents. And like I said several times, had Jerry Coyne taken 5 minutes to look into what creationists and intelligent design proponents say, he would know that they do not teach that species were all created at one point and have never changed since. He would know this is simply a straw man argument, especially with regards to the intelligent design movement. And by the way, the intelligent design movement and the creation movement, two separate movements. I'll make a separate video on that. Talking about the geologic column, not about diatoms, Jerry Coyne said, "This absolutely violates the prediction that all life was created at one time and never changed again, completely refuting what the Discovery Institute or most creationist organizations maintain." Okay, this alone should be enough to refute creationism. Then he went on to talk about other alleged evidences for evolution, and I'm making separate videos on those, including I've made a separate video on the alleged whale leg discovery. But for those of you who are more interested in this topic of, will creationists teach that species change over time? Intelligent design people teach that species change over time. Isn't that the same as evolution? And we would argue no. According to neo-Darwinists, what you have is you have mutation plus natural selection equals evolution. So if you have mutation and you have natural selection, you can progressively change a bacterium into a person over billions of years. It might not happen every time, obviously, but it's something that's possible. Now, creationists and ID advocates would say, no, mutation plus natural selection does not equal evolution in the sense that molecules can become people over billions of years. Now, a lot of people will say, no, evolution just means that species change over time. No, it doesn't. Things do change over time. Speciation occurs. However, 1 plus 1 does not give you 5, so to speak. We see fish will go into caves, and over the course of several generations, if there's no light in the cave, they'll lose their eyes, they'll lose their pigmentation, etc., etc. However, this is not the same thing as taking a fish and allowing it to become a philosopher over billions of years, or over, in this case, 500 million years. To lump the two together is an equivocation fallacy. Yes, you can believe in evolution. However, even if you believe in evolution, the idea that fish becoming blind and fish becoming philosophers is the same thing is just total equivocation and lumping together several different ideas and saying, well, every time we see a shift in allele frequency, every time we see a change in a population, well, that's the same thing as humans and apes having a common ancestor that gradually developed into humans over the course of millions of years by mutation and natural selection with no external intelligence to guide the process. Two very different processes that are given the same name. Just because they're given the same name doesn't mean they're the same thing. George Foreman, I don't know if it's true or not, but I've heard that he named all 5 of his sons George. Does that mean they're all the same person? No. You can take Christianity and Hinduism, 2 different philosophies, very different religious philosophies. You can call them both. You can call them both Buddhism. It doesn't mean that they're the same thing. Taking 2 separate processes and calling them the same thing does not mean that they're the same thing. That's an equivocation fallacy. All right, this is Greg out. By the way, the one video that I really want to recommend is I have a video uploaded on the creation orchard versus the evolutionary tree of life. I don't remember the exact title. I am sorry, because this is my video. However, that's the one I really recommend. I'll put a link in the description box. I think that this will really help explain to people what young Earth creation actually teaches. And honestly, I think that video refuted about 90% of the evolutionist arguments, at least the ones that I have been taught in my years of going to college and getting my associates in biotech. Alright, this is finally, trying once more. This is Greg out.